Hi, you guys. It's Reverend Aaron from the Texas UU Justice Ministry, and
Michelle Venegas Matula, also with Texas UU Justice Ministry.
we're having some friend time with.
Reverend Lisa Garcia Sampson from the UU Justice Ministry of North Carolina.
And I sound energetic, but of course, we've been talking about how this work can be tiring. And so taking time to check in with friends and colleagues across the miles is one of the ways that we keep our spirits up. And it's primary election day. How's it going in North Carolina? How are you feeling? Message from people.
Yeah, I mean, just really grateful to everyone at the polls today. We have folks that have been poll workers for decades. And I know that that's the case in Texas and all across the country. And so just really grateful. In North Carolina, we have new voter ID laws. We have new mail-in ballot laws. We have we have just across the board, all the regular nonsense of trying to make, the system is perfectly designed to achieve its outcome. So as usual, our poll protectors, our volunteers, our poll workers are really hustling around voter ID and new voter ID laws and things like that. So I'm just really grateful to everyone who's been helping to educate folks, helping to register folks, creating safety and joy at the polls, and just doing the beautiful, necessary work of running our democracy. So the stakes are, of course, incredibly high, and for both of our states, but this feels like it's really marking the start of the vote, the start of this year, where our moral legacy is on the line. And like, if you're not ready to go now, I don't know. Yeah,
Yes.
how are you all feeling?
We feel that here in Texas, and thank you for that good word. Michelle and I are working at Wildflower UU, our member congregation in South Austin today, which is an interfaith community. There's a Presbyterian congregation here that has been here a long time and owns a place and rents to Wildflower and to the SoCo Episcopal community. And today it's a polling place. So I will definitely be voting here at the church. But we are about to have our staff huddle, and our intern minister, Sarah Burrell Harrop, would normally be with us in the call that's going to follow. And she's out there working, election judge, right? She's been doing the work a long time too. I think that's what it is. I mean, there's so many roles for people, and we're so amazed by what our people are doing. And I know Michelle has some stories that she can share, but I'll tell you, as I've been out preaching to our congregations this winter and asking them to vision 1,000 elections into the future, right? Like, not just what the results are of this election, but what do we want for a democracy where everyone's inherent worth and dignity is recognized at the polls? I keep meeting people who are doing that work today, right now, from our congregations. And so I want to pass along one of the messages that one of them gave to me, which was that we've registered a lot of people here in Texas. We have hundreds of thousands of new voters, but we need to get them to the polls, the actual getting people. So if you're watching this video and you haven't texted your friends and family yet, it's not just about you voting, but like, help people get there, drive people. If you're a part of the driving pool, thank you. We need to help people get to the polls. Two other things that came up is our congregations in the long term can be working in communities to help get polling places where it matters for Black and brown voters, for people who might be living in communities that have less mobility and access. So can we help get polling places in better locations? And then the third story that came up from our folks was that when they went out and they did get out the vote work, like what we would call block walking maybe, but when they went to apartment complexes, people were so thankful. And there was a particular story of one woman who said, wait, don't tell me yet. Let me get all of my people who live in my household and our neighbors, because no one ever comes to talk to us. And so just trying to make sure that we get people out who speak languages other than English, people who are going to communities that may not get a million text messages from the two big parties. So those are some of the things that we're lifting up, and also just wanting to get our people registered for the, like you said, the UU the Vote event that's coming up. We want to see, I saw a lot of North Carolinians on that list who were already registered, and there were a good number of Texans, but we got a lot of catching up to do. So we should have like a friendly rivalry between Texas and North Carolina to see.
Let's compete. Let's do
Yeah,
it. Let's
yeah,
do it.
but
March
but I
14th.
know
Yeah.
Michelle has had some stories come up too.
Well, I was going to also mention that Drum and UU the Vote are also partnering. So we will have an event on March 12th for all UUs and UU adjacents that are BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So, and it's open to everyone, not just Drum members.
Oh, awesome.
So please take a look and hopefully sign up. We have that one coming up on next Tuesday to kick it off for our BIPOC communities.
I actually didn't know about that either. If you should send that over to
Yes,
North-
yes, I will post it on QSAN.
Is that March 11th?
March 12th.
12th. Okay. So March 12th. And then the UU the Vote one is March 14th, right? Okay. So we got
Yes,
two
yes.
chances next week for folks to really get engaged after they
Yes.
vote and they get their folks to vote today. What else are you going to say?
And the other part I was going to say is, you know, whenever we are getting out there and going to the polls, not only vote in your self-interest, but also for the community. There's a lot of people in our community that don't have the privilege and blessing of being able to vote. Those of us in our immigrant communities, our youth that are also, you know, impacted by a lot of the policies that have been coming up in our different state legislatures. So please keep all of us in mind.
Absolutely. Another one of our members brought up, because they had been incarcerated, that they were not able to vote. So you're right.
Yes.
There's so many reasons why. Go ahead.
We just had 60. So in 2022, we had a landmark victory in our state Supreme Court that re-enfranchised 60,000 formerly incarcerated voters. But then the state Supreme Court flipped, and within 3 months, they reheard the case, which isn't something you're not supposed to do. And they reversed their decision. So they just flipped the courts, reheard the case, and disenfranchised again over 60,000 people, and flipped our maps back to the gerrymandered maps that had just 3 months prior been identified as racially gerrymandered. You know, if our votes, I'm forgetting who said this, but the idea that if our votes didn't matter this much, then people wouldn't be working this hard to take them away from us.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think about in North Carolina, like, you know, the mail-in ballots has been such a critical tool for so many people in North Carolina who are differently abled, who have trouble accessing the polling places that aren't right in the right place, that people don't have access to. And this year they took away the grace period for mail-in ballots. So if your mail-in ballot is not in by today at 7:30, it will not count. There's new voter ID laws where there's only a list of acceptable IDs where you have to present your ID to be able to vote. They have taken away just a lot of the critical tools that people have used to be able to exercise their vote. So every step along the way, we just got to be ready. We have to be communicating this information. We have to create more safety at the polls. And you know, this is what our faith calls us to do. It's kind of beautiful that democracy is so explicitly a core value in Unitarian Universalism. And yeah, I'm just proud of what we've built. UU the Vote was the largest activation of UUs in the history of our faith in 2020 and in 2022, and now absolutely in 2024. It's time to go deeper. For all you that have been, you know, I love me a postcard, but if postcarding is the only thing you can do, then like write those postcards. But if you can do something in addition to writing postcards, then you need to do it.
Yeah.
It's time to go deeper.
Yes.
The white Christian nationalism, the authoritarianism that is wreaking havoc in North Carolina and Texas and across the country is no joke. I know we know that. our moral legacy is on the line in this election, and every single one of us has a role to play. And I was at the Poor People's Campaign event on Saturday, and I was sitting with a member of our River UU Fellowship, who's that congregation is also a polling place today. And we talked about how she wants to make her grandchildren proud this year.
Amen. Well, we were at the Poor People's Campaign event here in Texas as well, and all of that is very much on our hearts and minds. We also will be on Saturday here at our Capitol again for the Border Network for Human Rights, the issues around immigration, border militarization. There's a lot going on right now. And so we lift that up for our folks to be following the calls from both the Poor People's Campaign and our Border Network folks, all of which are connected, right? They were both at each of those things. It's all connected. And I did want to, before we go, because we won't keep you all day, I did want to say, like, this conversation happened spontaneously because, I checked the news this morning as I'm coming in to meet Michelle for our weekly co-working and saw this article that was like top 10 races we're watching. And it was practically nothing but Texas and North Carolina, and I texted Lisa and I said, how are you doing? And we got to just kind of checking in. And so I invite everybody to be checking in with your folks. Like, it's hard, the culture that we're in and that we're doing this work in. We need to look out for each other. If there's anything that we take away when we're invited by our immigrant siblings into that work, is this idea that, like, no matter what these racist laws, the show me your papers, the Operation Lone Star, folks, the message is always like, we're going to take care of each other. And those of us in this work, it needs to be the same, right? So we love you, Lisa, and we appreciate knowing that we can reach out to you and just take inspiration and connection together. Yeah.
We're not alone. And on that just quick note, so excited to see the outpouring of support across the country for Annunciation House. My spouse is from El Paso. I have friends who are immigration lawyers who have worked with Annunciation House in El Paso. And that's a great example too of a national call for support of what is happening on the border, and making sure that, I don't know if you saw the list, but the list is like pages and pages and pages and pages of support for Annunciation House down in El Paso. So this is how we win. This is how we sustain ourselves. It's through the depth of love and connection and trust that moves through our network. And we're reminded constantly that when I text you guys and say, like, do you have this bill? Are you dealing with this thing? Are we in the same place? Like, we're not in the same place, and yet we are. And so the more we lean into these connections, the more sustained and powerful we're going to be in the year to come. And Lord knows we're going to need it.
Absolutely. Michelle, is there anything else you wanted to say? And then I'm going to shout out our events.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and, keep holding on to hope, because there's a lot more of us than there are those that are trying to take away our rights.
Right.
So yeah. So let's mobilize.
Absolutely. Okay, well, that's a perfect segue into what I just wanted to give us a chance to send our calls to action out. Vote and get your folks to the polls today. Josh Houston, you hear my phone blowing up. I wonder what it could be this time. But Josh Houston, our partner in advocacy from Texas Impact, says that only 14% of Texans vote typically in these primaries. So our legislators are listening to those who vote. Please be those who vote today. And then we want to see you on those UU the Vote mobilization calls next week on the 12th and the 14th. Here in Texujum, we want to see you at action hours on Thursday nights. We're taking those actions together every week. I know Lisa can talk about the ones in North Carolina that we are inspired by and modeled on. And March 23rd in person and on Zoom is the Texujum annual gathering. Please come and get your cup filled. What Michelle said is absolutely true. We are powerful. We are the majority. We need to gather and charge each other up for all the work that we have to do. Come and be with us in person in Dallas on March 23rd, or join us on Zoom. The programming is going to be robust online. We have youth caucuses with speakers for them. Donna Howard, our representative, is speaking. We have a lot of great panelists and some deep discussion on these issues. So we really want you to register. You can go to txuujm.org. And we even welcome our siblings from far away to pop in on Zoom if you want to. We love to see you. I think those are the main things
Yeah.
going on for us. Lisa?
Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah, maybe I'll pop in. I think I popped in last year. Y'all know how to throw a party, so maybe I'll pop.
Thank you. You said you had some kind of convening coming up?
Oh man, I mean that's for our entire state is convening next week. Our Blueprint partners, everybody from election protection to security to outreach, our entire state, 80 organizations coming together to do some powerful strategizing and alignment for the year to come. So after that, we will have our UU the Vote rollout in North Carolina, and that'll be coming later on in the spring. In April, we will roll out the plans, but first we got to get information and with our movement, and then we will be ready to move powerfully into this UU the Vote cycle.
Amazing. All right. Well, blessings to y'all in North Carolina. Sending all our love from Texas.
Same to you.